Welcome everybody to the Magic Beans podcast. We are back again for episode number 58. I am your host tonight, and my name is Shorty, and I have just one bean with me. So tonight we have Cracker. How's it going, mate?
I'm very well, mate. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. I think all the rest of the beans were just too worn out after the big weekend we had, so it's just us tonight.
That's all right. That's all we need, just the host and the second host.
That's all we need. You hear that? The rest of the beans out there when you listen to that? Cracker reckons we don't need you, so...
I mean, they say the same about me, so, get my licks in while I can.
That's right. Every time I'm not here, all I do is cop it, so... Got to get it back at them when we can, so... Yeah, lots to talk about tonight. There has actually been a lot happening in the world of Magic, not just in the Magic Beans world, but in the greater world of Magic, so plenty of things to touch on tonight. And hopefully you enjoy this episode. But before we get into that, Cracker, do you want to tell everybody who our awesome sponsors are?
Love to. It is Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. They are a Facebook auction page. They run auctions for Magic cards every night of the week. And heaps of auctions. Like, there's usually 3 or 4 listings each time, and each listing has, 40 odd individual cards, and sometimes groups of cards as well. So there's always stacks of cardboard going for sale, and you can just score some really good bargains, because there's so many things, people miss stuff, and you can score some sick deals. Right? No, it's just true, right? Like, I mean, I know you and I have both sniped cards for like $1 because we're just like, oh, value bid, I'll put one on, and then you win, and you're like, yes, I'll take a $1 card, thank you very much. So go check them out. You can find them on Facebook. Just search Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar, or in our show notes, we'll have a link to their Facebook page.
Absolutely. And I believe they're doing a big giveaway at the moment.
Huge. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, I was just like, the problem is that I'm going to have to get like Amelia and some other people to start liking their Facebook page. So if you like Josh and Pat's Facebook page, then you enter into the running for winning a collector's booster box, is it?
No, so there's 6 Commander Legends boxes up for grabs. And yeah, all you got to do is invite a friend to the group, get them into the group. So we're growing the Josh and Pat's numbers there, and you'll be in the running for a one of 6 Commander Legends boxes whenever they actually arrive in the country. I don't think they've actually gotten here yet, but invite someone, comment on the giveaway post, and and then you'll be in the running for that. So
I'd do it for a Pac-Man, but a box. Wow.
I did have a big chat with Pat this week, and one of the things we talked about was that probably didn't need to go with 6 boxes, but that's what he decided to go with because he's a very generous person, and he wants to spread the love. So yeah, definitely get in on that because that's a pretty sweet giveaway, and that's a massive prize. So
got another giveaway happening at the moment.
Yeah, we do. It's just giveaways all over the place.
It's the time of year, buddy. It's the time of year. So we're involved in the 31 Days of Christmas, which is a group of Magic content creators from all around the globe, right? And
yep, everywhere.
It's 31 Days of Christmas. We're already 10 days in when we're recording the cast, so you gotta get in and going. But basically, you can enter through a link, which will be in the show notes, saying that you've come from the Beans, and everyone's put up different just giveaways to put up. So Shorty has got a Commander deck from 2018, was it?
Yep.
The Bant Enchantments deck, I believe.
Yeah, that's the one.
Which is worth about $100 now. Really fun deck. I've played against it, and there's just a bunch of stuff going. So if you enter, you're entering in all of the potential prizes from all the creators, not just us. We'll be drawing ours on the 32nd day of Christmas.
Yes. Thanks to time zones.
Thanks, America. So we'll be putting up a video, I believe.
Yeah.
Just explaining, drawing a winner and seeing who gets lucky and gets the sweet prize. So make sure you just jump into that. It takes 2 seconds. We have all entered. Amelia, my wife, has entered that one. I said, when you see a random email, don't worry about it. It's fine.
And we do have a nice healthy rivalry going on between us and Orcs Head Magic from New Zealand. So make sure you follow our link because when they run the numbers at the end of it, we want to be well ahead of Jordan over there from Orcs Head Magic.
Look,
so shout out to him.
Yeah, they're nice people, but like we have to beat them.
In everything.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we've got that Commander deck that you'll also get a Beans playmat, which is a hot property at the moment. The Card Kingdom's throwing in a voucher. I think it's just like a $10 voucher, but that's not bad. And I just heard today from the organisers that Wizards of the Coast themselves are actually throwing in a special bundle for each person that wins a prize. They haven't given us the details on what they are yet, but something direct from Wizards. So yeah, it's growing and getting bigger. I mean, you already had a $100 Commander deck, and now you're probably up 150, maybe even more with all the rest of the stuff. So. Free stuff. And
free stuff is good.
While we're still talking about free stuff, our survey is still running. We're trying to get a little bit of feedback from all of you lovely listeners out there to see what you like and what you didn't like about what we've done over the last, 14 months, 15 months we've been doing this thing for, something like that. And where we can improve and what we should keep doing. So the link for that is in the show notes again. And we'll be running that right up till the end of the year, and then doing a draw to get a Zendikar Expedition, which we cracked a couple of those on the weekend, one of them was an ancient tomb, which I think it's like 60 or 70 US for the Expedition Ancient Tomb. So
yeah, because it was the extended art, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Great looking card, and we also had one of the Battlelands that opened up as well.
Yep.
But look, this year came at us in a huge rush for lots of different ways, and we're still trying to wrap our heads around like what we can do for our community, which still blows us away that there are people that
that we have a community,
that we have a community, right? And we love it, and so like we really want feedback. Like it's nice to hear that you think we're doing a great job, but if there are things you'd like us to see from us, or like areas we can improve, then like that's really useful, because I mean, we've just guessed for this year. Let's not kid ourselves. And like I think we've done a really good job, but we know we can do more and we can do better. So like if you've got some ideas, help us out.
Absolutely. All right. Well, speaking of one of the things that just sort of came up on us and was a random idea, there was a top-level Magic tournament that was played this weekend with A-grade coverage, maybe B-grade commentary, but definitely some A-grade play happening there. And, watched by people all around the world.
That's
heaps
true.
of viewers and a lot of hype. So, Magic Beans Invitational.
The Magic Beans Envy.
It's done.
First
Finished.
ever. Tell you what a day, man.
It was a long day, but it actually went very quickly.
It went super fast. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I had so much fun. Just the whole day. Because we caught up on Monday afterwards, and I was like, I don't remember a whole chunk of Saturday because it just went past in a blur, and at the end I was exhausted. And I imagine it was even more so for you, given you were there for a couple of hours longer than I was. So, and you weren't feeling the best. So I'm glad you pulled through.
Yeah,
What a show, man.
Yeah.
And we got a winner.
We did, yeah. So Hemsey managed to take it all down, which is probably not surprising, really. I mean, he's been on the top of the leaderboard basically the whole year. I think he might have won one of the first leagues that we counted. And then, just sort of had really good performances through every league and ended up finishing on top by a fairly big margin. Like, he was on 20 points, and the next was Child Rebel Walker, who was only on 14. So, was a fair way ahead of the pack. But safe to say his day didn't start off too well, Cracker.
It did not, man. That was, what a surprise. So, Hemsey was playing... what was it? Abzan Urion, yeah?
Yeah, the Abzan Doom Foretold.
And kind of quite a grindy sort of deck. And his first matchup was against Namburger, who was on monogreen food. And we're doing the pre-show and chatting about what we think. And we're like, like Hemsey's probably favoured, on average of this matchup because he's got all the removal in the world. Nope. 35 seconds later, the match was finished.
Pretty much. It was just very quick.
Seriously, it was hilarious. I wasn't covering that part, and you and I were trying to help, set things up in the background, and then it was just like, we don't know what to do. Switching to the screens. Poor Chris thought he'd have half an hour or so, but no. So that pushed Hemsey into the lower bracket because it was a double elimination. And Namburger kind of just cruised on through for a little bit.
Yeah. Just kept winning in the winners bracket, got all the way through into the finals. Only played 4 games all up through the whole event. So had the pretty easy run. But we watched all the first 4 matches in the first round, and there was a few good matches in there and a couple of upsets. But yeah, Hemsey getting taken down 0-2 in the first round was probably the biggest surprise.
Definitely.
But that wasn't the end of old Hemsey, as we've already spoiled. He did end up winning the event, so he won his way through the losers bracket, carving them up all the way, and ended up in the finals and got his sweet revenge
in the rematch.
Yeah, so ended up against his first round opponent Namberger in the finals and crushed him. Got the 2-0 win.
He did. He flipped it completely. And look, it was a big part of the fact that in the first match, Hemsey's mana just never got underneath him, right?
Yeah.
He was missing colours and missing lands, and the mono green food deck that Namberger was playing just did what it was supposed to do and just absolutely punished him for stumbling. But at the second time they faced up, the mana was just there. So Hemsey, had all the things that you would want, just a bunch of removal spells and, some Doom Foretold and things like that, and just managed to grind it out. And he played really well all day. Everyone played really, really well. And it was it was so much fun to cover, And like I said, in the show where last week we were talking about, the decks and what we were looking forward to seeing, I was just saying, I'm looking forward to seeing these guys find lines that I don't see coming. That sure happened a bunch. And it's awesome, right? It's just so much fun to see kind of how well everyone knew their deck, and, they've obviously put a lot of preparation in, and, talking to them, afterwards and beforehand, they were thinking about the matchups and what they did want to see and what they didn't want to see. So, it was all taken, it was a fun event, but everyone took it pretty seriously, which was great. That's what we wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, we wanted some of those rivalries to continue that we've seen through the group league, group stages, and into the finals. We did manage to actually get the all-time grudge match between Hemsey and Child Rebel Walker. If you haven't seen their interview videos, then go and look them up on YouTube. You'll find all the interview videos on there, and they are mates outside of the Magic world. But when it comes to Magic, there is definitely a serious rivalry going on there.
They are bitter enemies in the best possible way.
Yeah. So, Hemsey got the better of Child Rebel Walker there. I think there was a bit of a misplay there. We did see that one on camera from Child Rebel Walker, probably attacking when he shouldn't have. And I think there was, he did mention there was probably an earlier misplay in the same game. So, yeah, he may have gotten scared off by Hemsey's prowess.
Maybe. I mean, he also was doing it the hard way too. So he lost in the first round and then had to fight his way through to meet in the semi-finals in the lower bracket, didn't they?
Yeah, yep.
So they were both sort of 4 matches in at that point. So no, it would have been 5 actually, I think. Anyway, whatever it was.
Four matches.
Was a bunch of Magic played, and we're kind of 4 matches is a fairly long day, and then to have to keep
under
playing
pressure
at top level, for some. There were some real prizes at stake here. We weren't just playing for, a basic land. It was a land. It wasn't basic, though.
It has basic land types on it.
That's true. 2 of them. It doesn't even do you damage.
That's right, yeah. So, at the end of the day, we ended up with, Hemsey on top, with Namberger in second, followed up by Yanray in third, Child Rebel Walker in fourth, Benny R in 5th, Tom D in 6th, J Mudd in 7th, and P-Jaw rounding it out in 8th place. So it was an awesome day. We had a ton of fun. The coverage, I think, was as we've been sort of pumping it up for a few weeks, but it definitely did step up an extra notch.
Oh, for sure. It was easily the best we've done.
Yeah. And if you go back and watch our first few streams we've done, you definitely see the improvements as we go, but I think it is a very professional finish, and very proud of what we've been able to do. If you haven't seen it, the VOD is still up on Twitch at the moment, and it will go up on YouTube in the next few days. So definitely go and check it out, because there's some great matches there, and you can see all the fun stuff we got up to, giving away more stuff. It was just giveaways all day. So
much stuff. One match that I thought was, actually just one game that I thought was particularly good, and not just because I was covering it, was the one between J Mudd and Benny R.
Yep.
Their first game was like a full control battle, and we got down to, I'm not going to spoil the winner, but Benny R had 8 cards left in his library, and only 2 of them were unknown.
Yeah.
So that one was an epic battle, and they both played really, really well. Not just face-up kind of Magic. They were thinking, multiple turns ahead, and they both knew what each other's threats were, and like the evaluation and stuff, and seeing like high-value sweepers like Extinction Event being fired off to kill like a token or two and stuff like that. So really just well played Magic there. It was great fun to see.
Yeah. I think my favourite moment from the day was, I think it was Yanray versus Child Rebel Walker, when, or it might have been Yanray versus Benny. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but it was definitely Yanray getting the triple Ruin Crab start with a Fabled Passage in hand as well.
Yes.
Just, this game's going to go quick, and there's going to be a lot of milling going on.
And it did.
It did. Yep, it was good. I'm a big fan of the random mill out, even though that's probably not the plan A of the deck. It's just sort of
win condition.
Supplementary to the rogues and all the things that you get from having 8 or more cards in the graveyard. So so that's our invitational. So about the only thing I guess to announce from that, we're not going to get into what we're actually doing next year, but we did announce on stream. We can say it here that Hemsey as the first Magic Beans Invitational champion will be auto-qualified for the Invitational that we will run towards the end of next year. So we're doing it the way it should be done. I know Wizards messed that up a few times with the World Championships, and
you've got to bring them back, man.
Yeah, not inviting back the previous year's champion to defend their title, but we're going to do it right, and we're going to bring Hemsey back and see if he can defend his title again. And keep an eye out for when you're bidding on the auctions from Josh and Pat's. Probably early next year, you'll start to see some of Hemsey's special tokens getting shipped out to you with all the cards that you buy from Josh and Pat's. So
looking forward to that.
Be interesting to see how that looks. Now, on the same weekend, I think we were competing for coverage a little bit on the weekend with some other second-rate event that happened to be on with some no-name players. What was that?
The Zendikar Rising Championships.
We don't need to talk about that.
Not really. Honestly, the production value was lower. And, that's not even joking. But, look, the stakes were a little bit higher. So this is a replacement for a PT or a Mythic Championship or whatever you want to call it. But this is, big-time premier WotC event.
Yep.
And it was played over... Yep.
This is the first one of these that we've had. This is sort of the new rollout. Yeah. So we'll be seeing these happening next year. So there's a Kaldheim Championship coming up, I think at the end of the first quarter in next year, and then there'll be the next Strixhaven, I think the set is after that. So it's effectively the replacement for the PTs. But rather than being like the old PTs used to be at the start of a season, you'd have a new set release, and then 2 weeks later you would have the PT. Now it seems to be at the end of the season, so it's a little bit different.
Sure. And, that's fine. But it's still going to be named after the set that it is involving. Yep. Which is slightly different. They've obviously had a whole stack of changes around organised play over the last couple of years, and this is where we're up to now. So it has been a little tricky to keep up with how important these different events are and how hard they are to get into. But this is the top, right? This is not like invite-only Mythic Invitationals. This is you have earned your way in. So this was like all of the Rivals players, all of the MPL players, and people who had gone through a series of qualifier events. So this is top-level people who have done it the hard way to get into this kind of stuff. So we both caught some of this on over the weekend, and it was a double format.
Yeah.
So they had both standard and historic.
Yeah, I mean, previously the Pro Tours or Players Tours were usually a split format. Sometimes they weren't, but almost always they were, or they have been for quite a long time, and they were usually draft and then standard, or draft and then modern, or something like that. But unfortunately, Arena doesn't quite have that capability to be running a large draft tournament just yet. So still split format, but standard and historic. So it's a bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, historic is obviously being pushed quite a lot recently by Wizards. There's been a lot of high-level events. And, I mean, as we said before, it feels like a real thing. So it didn't feel like there was kind of anything being given away by having a split format. Like, part of it was just, well, we have to do this other thing. It felt like, there were some real choices to be made and real percentages to be won from from players based on, how well they're prepared in both, which has always been one of the challenges of the Pro Tours, right?
Yeah.
Was you always started on draft, right?
Yep.
Day one, you sit down, you draft, and if you 3-0 your draft, then you're setting yourself up really well for a good run. So, they start off with standard. The surprising, well, maybe not surprising, because the Beans are awesome, but not us, the Beans family, I should say, the Beans community. Their standard metagame was very similar to ours.
Yeah.
So if you've been paying attention, not even just to us, but just generally, we saw Gruel Adventures, Monogreen Food, Rogues, Teamer Adventures, Dimir Control, a couple of different types of Doom Foretold, and then some other random things thrown in there. But no real surprises in there, Shorty.
No. And the percentages of the field were fairly evenly spread. I think people were kind of expecting, like Gruel came in at 23.9% of the field, which is the highest. And that's still a fair percentage, but when you compare that to standard, 3 months ago,
they were 50%.
Yeah. So, I think a lot of people were expecting Gruel to be the largest portion of the metagame, and that's exactly how it turned out. It is a very good deck, and can, from what I've heard people say, they reckon it is by far the best deck on the play. Its aggressive draws are just so quick that kind of doesn't matter what your opponent's doing. Sometimes you can just get them dead really quick with a Lovestruck Beast and an Embercleave. So yeah, not surprising at all. The one that surprised me the most is a Monogreen Food being the second highest. It's really been picking up over the last few weeks, and I guess I probably hadn't paid quite enough attention to how much it had been picking up. But
yeah, same. It seemed like, there's been a monogreen deck for quite a while in the format, but the shift to the food variant that we're seeing here, I mean, I knew about it, but I hadn't seen a lot of it. And yeah, it's kind of really, there were 32 players, so 17.4% of the field that brought that deck. So that's a pretty high representation.
Yeah. Yeah, like I've played a bit of it on stream over the last couple of weeks, and it was good, but probably a lot of it was pilot error. I didn't seem to be doing very well with it, but yeah, it seems to have performed pretty well over the weekend as well. So yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, for sure. And look, Rogues, always to be expected. I don't think we're going to see that disappear anytime soon. There's a really strong core there, and you can kind of build it however you like. And if you look at the actual the win rate across the standard metagame, Rogues actually has the best overall win percentage.
Yep.
At 54%. So look, everything is, we talk about the best. The difference between the lowest, which is actually Monogreen Food at 47,
yep,
and then Rogues at 54, there's not a big gap there, right? So everything is clustered around the 50%. So this is a pretty balanced metagame that we see. Which is cool.
Which is probably not what people would have been expecting a couple of months ago.
2 years and 30 bannings later, and we
finally got it right. Bring on the next set that's going to ruin everything. It is interesting that, if you look down those decks, like Gruel Adventures, Monogreen Food, Teamer Adventures, the Doom Foretold decks, they're all Throne of Eldraine focused decks. Like the majority of those cards or those mechanics are from Eldraine. So yeah, it just really goes to show, I don't know how many cards out of that set have been banned now, but it'll be probably 5 or 6 or something like that, and it's still super powerful enough that with all the other sets we have at the moment, they're still the best cards to be playing. So very interesting. It's going to be interesting, come September or whatever next year when we get another rotation, when we finally lose Eldraine. Is there just going to be this absolute vacuum of power?
No, because they've had 12 months to fill it.
Yeah. So yeah, standard's pretty good. What about historic? What are we seeing there?
All kinds of things. Gobbos, unsurprisingly, still a very popular deck.
Favourite Muxus.
Yeah. People, the cards that have been broken in the last few years have been cards that just let you look at the top few cards of your, 6 cards or so of your deck and just put some of them into play.
Just put them straight into play.
Just whack them in there. It's fine. Don't even worry about it. Some of them even let you cast them. For some reason, they thought giving you cast triggers would be good. But so goblins, unsurprisingly, both Jund and Rakdos Sacrifice, people still like putting cats in ovens. And then we have seen kind of the rise of the 4-color mid-range deck in the last little while. So Sultai mid-range was obviously quite strong for a long time in Historic, with the Uro engine and then just black removal spells and all that kind of stuff. But we then saw the Big Pig coming through. Yasharn, and really just giving a bunch of punch to that, to the point where it was worth splashing white for.
Yep.
So yeah, a lot of them are running a couple. Basically, people can't pay life or sacrifice non-land permanents to cast spells or activate abilities is the big thing. So it just turns off a bunch of, like the Rakdos deck, for example.
Yeah,
ceases to function. So and it's a 4-mana 4/4, right? So its stats are difficult to deal with.
Hard to kill.
You can't claim it. So
it gets you a couple of lands when it comes into play as well. So
of course,
it's helping your cause.
Yeah, absolutely. So just powerful effects there. And look, backed up by Thought Seize and some other disruption, is a pretty strong mix.
Yep.
One of the other decks that you and I talked about, actually, the rise of auras. And it seems like the Azorius one was the flavour that people were interested in.
Yep.
And
it did not do so well.
Kind of got crushed.
33.9% win rate.
Yeah. Look, it had probably a little more representation than I thought it might, but it did not do well. It went 19 and 56, which is as opposed to the highest performing decks, which were Sultai mid-range at 57%. So there's, I was saying that standard was fairly flat. There's some big gaps here.
Yeah, like the Sultai mid-range and the 4-color mid-range, like 57.14 for Sultai, 56.92 for 4-color. So basically the same. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's like looking at the metagame breakdown, it is interesting. Like I guess Wizards have done this just to sort of fit more decks on that list, or sort of bunch them up a bit. Like they grouped Rakdos and Jund Sacrifice to make it up 30.4% of the field, which makes it look like it's a lot. And same with Sultai and 4-color mid-range coming in at 28.3. But if you actually go to their breakdown, the 4-color mid-range is only 20%. That's the highest deck. So that's even less of a share than the highest deck we saw in Standard, which is pretty good. And then Jund Sacrifice is only 19.6, and then it actually puts Goblins into third. So yeah, pretty good spread across the field for Historic. So I think Historic is probably, in the same sort of spot as Standard, where it's actually really good. And you go through like all the other decks that are also there in Historic, and there's tons of them. There's heaps of variation.
Yeah.
Someone ran the 9 lives combo.
someone ran Neostorm. Yeah. And someone just went, I'm playing Dimir Rogues all day, can't stop me.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So we saw the winner, who was a guy called Brad Barclay, and the finals, the top 8, which was run on the Sunday?
Monday for us.
Monday for us, yeah. I was going to say Sunday in the US, but Monday for us. We actually got to watch a bit of. We caught some of the finals, and Brad was playing Azorius Control.
Yeah.
I don't know
probably not the deck I would have picked.
Man, it's not the deck I ever want to pick. No. Look, as much as I love drawing cards, like, just Azorius Control is like the most boring thing I can think of.
Yeah.
But obviously piloted really well. He faced off against Autumn Burchett in the finals. And look, Autumn is an outstanding player. She has been the English national champion a couple of times. She's won a PT. She's kind of been crushing it for the last couple of years, just non-stop. And she was playing Goblins and, did quite well with that all the way through, and actually lost back-to-back against Brad, which has got to sting a little bit.
Well, I got to watch you guys were actually in the middle of playing some Cube, and I had some spare time, so I actually watched that whole final. And yeah, Autumn got a little bit unlucky, had a couple of rolls of the Muxus and just didn't quite hit, or drew the card one turn too late and that sort of thing. But Brad definitely knew his way around the Azorius Control deck and played it very, very well. So yeah, it was could have gone either way, but the Azorius Control deck just kept that control the whole time and never actually gave it up.
Yeah. Well done. And look, the top 8 was pretty stacked.
Yeah.
I mean, Mengucci was in there. Brad Nelson was in there.
Gabe Nassif.
I was always getting Steve banned.
I think he's top-8'd like the last 4 or 5 or something, major events.
I'm pretty sure I saw someone saying that he needs to be banned. Like he's just been killing it, man. Game Steve. Yeah. And that's awesome. He is like one of the OGs as far as, high-level Magic pros, and he's played in so many Pro Tours. It's not funny, and it's awesome that he's, doing really well streaming and, obviously crushing it non-stop with these Zoomers, as apparently they're called. Because that's not us,
school paper boomers.
Can still hang with these kids.
Yep. Not us though.
No. I have a Zoomer, but she's my daughter.
Yeah.
Anyway, before I feel old. We got to play with some old cards on the weekend.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, we did catch up on the Monday and played a bit of Cube. So we've been wanting to do this for ever.
The whole year, I believe.
Yeah. So Chewy has, we've definitely mentioned on the podcast before, Chewy has I guess you'd call it a legacy cube, or it's not a powered cube. It's not a vintage cube. Probably legacy.
It's a
power
legacy.
Level.
It's not like a direct rip from a Moto list or anything like that. It's one that he's kind of curated over the last ages, actually, probably like 10 years or so. He's been building this cube.
Yep.
And the current iteration, he made some new changes and things, and we managed to draft it twice on the weekend, which was amazing, because you ever tried to get 8 people in a room to draft?
we had 9.
We did.
That's how well we were doing.
Yeah. And just nonsense ensued. It was just great. I mean, like, opening cube packs is just some of the most fun you can have in Magic, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to have to do a special on Cube at some point, but it is very different to drafting a normal draft. Every pack has 15 good cards in it. You're very rarely opening a pack going, you're never opening a pack going, I'll flip to the rare and see what it is.
No, it's if you find a common in your pack, it's because it's something like,
Counterspell.
Exactly. Or Brainstorm or something like that. So yes, it's great. I love it. And you draft a particular archetype, ideally.
Chewy's built a few different archetypes in there. Some probably need a little bit of taming down, but there's a few things you can take.
Yeah.
But I sat out of the first draft because we did have 9 people, but you participated in the first one. And what did you draft?
I drafted a blue-red artifact kind of wildfire deck. So I had, my deck was kind of, it was fun. I had a couple of combos. So I took a bunch of signets to, just have as mana rocks. Didn't get quite as many as I wanted, because it turns out Chewy on the other side of the table had the same idea.
He was also trying to draft the same deck.
But I managed to get both Wildfire and Burning of Jin-Yi. And they're both very old cards. They're 6 mana red sorceries, but they say each opponent destroys 4 lands and it deals 4 damage to all creatures in play. So I got to do that, and then I had sort of the win conditions were a bunch of artifact creatures. I had Mere Battlesphere and Wormcoil Engine and Sundering Titan, and I could Daretti them or Goblin Welder them into play from my graveyard. So my deck was kind of gross. In the best sort of way, and I had a great time. Unfortunately, I did lose to Chewy. He killed me with my own 7/7 Stonecoil Serpent.
Nice,
because he Zealous conscripted it. Smashed me with it. But it was a bunch of fun.
Yep, and we even got to see J-Mud. He made the trip up from Geelong. Mm-hmm. Which was pretty cool. Got to actually hand him his invitational prizes directly, so saved me on the postage. But
he got to use his Beans playmat for the day.
Yep. So and then we did a second draft. Stu had to leave a little bit early, so I finished off his draft deck, which was
what was that?
It was a horrible Esper control deck that
it had Jason
sucked the fun out of everyone. I got to sit down and play against Chris, who was on Reanimator, and I played my turn 5 Scarab God, and that put the dampener on all of his fun, because he could no longer target any of his creatures in his graveyard, so that was good fun. But the second draft, I think I just did my usual.
You think? I know you did.
If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that 90% of the time when I draft mono red, and people just kept passing me red cards. So
it's because they're boring, Shorty.
No. Winning is fun, Cracker. Winning is fun.
No.
And playing mono red is fun. Yeah,
it can be. That's true. I drafted red cards.
Yeah, I drafted red-white. Like I was planning on being red-white, and then we got to the end of the draft, and I looked at my cards and went, you know what? I can just build this as straight mono red, and it's pretty good. And turns out it was pretty good, and I 3-0'd the draft. So I think that is one of the archetypes that probably does need a couple of cards taken out. As we had a bit of a chat to Chewy about that, but. Yeah,
balancing a cube is really difficult.
Oh, yeah, it is, yeah.
And trying to find, like, he'd put some things in to try and buff the Is It Spells deck, but unfortunately, if you're putting a bunch of cheap red spells in, then Burn is pretty happy to take those too. So, particularly when you've got, like, Swift Spear and other prowess creatures and things in the mono red deck that it's looking to leverage. So, some tweaking to be done there. My second draft, I ended up, I hated it. I'm drafting it and I was miserable for like 80% of the drafts. And then I managed to get Sneak Attack, Show and Tell, Emrakul. The Aeons torn together. Well, I was trying, I got a couple of the pieces early on, and I was drafting green cards going, why am I drafting green cards? And then ended up with like a Knight of the Reliquary in my deck, and I was like, oh no, I'm going to be Selesnya. This is like it's like my worst nightmare. I don't want to do this at all. But I ended up with it wasn't busted, but it was pretty fun, and it had some good matches with that one. We didn't get to play all of them because Jay might have to dip out a little bit early.
Yep.
But played a really long game against. Was kind of just a black-white mid-range deck, but, they had a bunch of answers, and they ended up with Batterskull that then they Phyrexian metamorphed. So they had 2 Batterskulls, and so I managed to do my thing, and I went, Sneak Attack Emrakul, and they're like, I'm going to blow up all my lands and take 15, and then a few turns later they're at 36, and I was just like, I won, but it shouldn't have taken me that many extra turns after But I think one of the grossest things that happened to me though was the previous game where Chris decided to draft. Was Esper Control, wasn't it? Or Blue-White Control. And he had Isochron Scepter. Again, old card from like Darksteel, which lets you imprint an instant with converted mana cost 2 or less underneath it. You can pay 2 and cast that card if you would like. And Chris decided that he was going to imprint Swords to Plowshares. Needless to say, I could not sneak in anything particularly because I couldn't find Emrakul, which has got protection from all of the things, but Ulamog got exiled and my Palaka Worm got exiled, and then he's just like beating me down with a true name at the same time. So that was great. I had a great time. I loved it. No, but whatever. Cube, just getting to play Magic for the whole day was unreal, and seeing people in person. Yeah,
it was great. I know Chris felt pretty dirty playing a blue control deck.
He did. He's like, oh, why would you do this? I was like, you're drawing cards. But no,
Chris is very much known for playing green ramp stuff. Anything that involves getting lots of lands and then doing all sorts of shenanigans with all the mana you can generate. So stepping out of his comfort zone there to play some blue and a few counters was good to see, but I think he needed to go and have a shower after the draft just to wash away all the dirty feeling that he had.
Because he's not used to the words "in response" from his mouth. He's used to people saying it to him.
He's used to playing at sorcery speed.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But it was great fun, and perfect way to cap off a big weekend and sort of the end of a big year for us. So I think if you've never drafted a cube before, if you've got someone in your local area, maybe at your local store or a friend of yours or something like that, then definitely give it a try. There is actually a website which we probably we'll talk about if we do an episode focused on cube, but cubetutor.com.
Yep,
that's actually where I got mine. So I have a pauper cube, which is all commons, and it's definitely worthwhile going and having a look at that site. You can get sort of effectively what like an average cube. You can specify what what you want your cube to be, you know, the size and, you know, if you want commons, uncommons, rares, however you want to build it. And it will give you like an average across of a whole bunch of other people's cubes. So you can get like the generic cube if you don't really know where to start and that sort of thing. And that's what I did with my my pauper cube. It just gave me a good starting spot. And built it up. Being pauper and being all commons, it was pretty cheap. And I can just sort of tune that as I go, as we play it every now and then, or I see a new card getting printed in the new set, so I'll pull something out that looks a bit average and put that one in, and yeah, it's great fun. You know, I just keep it as a set. It's just sitting there in my cupboard, take it whenever we go somewhere, and if we happen to get 8 people, we can draft it. So yeah, I'd highly recommend finding someone who has a cube or building one of your own and then getting together with your mates and having a play. I think maybe we might be able to, this is just, you know, throwing it out there. I know a few people have been asking to do some drafts, you know, not on some of the other drafting services that you can do online. Yeah. We might have to actually tee up and do a cube draft in that. I think you can load your own set of cards.
Chewy has. You can actually do it. And so I've drafted his cube on there. So if you hop into our Discord, you'll find the link there. We'll put it in. I'm pretty sure it's in the limited channel somewhere, or hit us up and we'll send you the link to it. And then the only problem is playing games. You need something that is like Cockatrice or X-Mage or something like that you can use. So a third party one, because obviously, you know, we don't all have access to these strange old cards. And then, in theory, you'd be able to battle it out. So definitely keen to do that at some point for sure.
Yep, sounds good. And if we ever get back to some sort of major Grand Prix or something here in Australia where we can actually catch up with all you lovely people out there, then we'll make sure we have our cubes on hand, and we might be able to get some of those done over a weekend. It'd be great fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right, so there is another event coming up this weekend. We've mentioned this. I think you and I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, Cracker. The Next Arena Open. So that's actually on this weekend. So the 12th and 13th of December. You know, same old format, or this is one of the ones where you can do best of 1 or best of 3 on day 1 to try and qualify for day 2. So 7 wins in best of 1 before you get your third loss, or 4 wins in best of 3 before you get your first loss will qualify you for day 2. And yeah, there's $2,000 cash if you get 7 wins on day 2, or $1,000 cash if you get 6 wins, and a whole bunch of gems. So pretty good value, and if you can find the time to get into it, then I definitely recommend doing that. I might. My wife's working on Saturday, so I'm sure I'll be able to find some time to at least have one shot of it. But yeah, it is historic. So what what's your recommendation for the listeners out there, Cracker? What would you be running? You know, obviously, you know, as people who listen to this podcast would know, you're pretty much a free-to-play player on Arena, so limited on the decks that you can play. So take away that. What would be your recommendation for people to play?
I mean, you have to be mindful of the big event that's just happened, right? Like, particularly if you're going into best of 3, you're going to have to expect that there's going to be a bunch of these kind of mid-range and control decks. And I mean, goblins is still just going to be everywhere. It just is. It's been super powerful, and you know, will continue to be so until, you know, if maybe something happens to it, which I'm not convinced that it needs to, and I'm kind of happy that they haven't done anything. I know everyone was up in arms about. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. What would I play? I mean, in best of 1, I'd probably just play Burn. Now that you've got access to the what's it called? The elf that adds mana back when you cast it.
Burning
Tree Emissary.
Yeah, Burning Tree Emissary. I was going to say Burning Tree Shaman, but that's not right.
No. Yeah, I think that there's I played it's a little while ago now, but there's some really strong builds with Lyris as a companion, and you know, you've got like Soulscar Mage available now, and a couple of other things like that to just kind of punch through some more prowess creatures.
Yep.
I think in best of 1, you'd struggle to do better than that. I mean, that's just a personal thing. Best of 3, I don't know. Honestly, I think in historic, you have to be mindful of what people have done, but then you also have to remember that there's just lots of the majority of people have got, you know, budgetary constraints and deck constraints and things that they want to play. Like you and Chewy, for example, love the Godfarer's Gift decks.
Yep.
didn't see play at all over the weekend.
Yeah.
And so, you look at these things and you go, well, maybe there's going to be less main deck Grafdigger's cages now because there wasn't such a huge representation of stuff that needed it in the, Zendikar Rising Championship metagame. I don't know that that's correct.
No, I mean, goblins are still there.
Well, it is, but, it depends on how much you think you're going to see it. Look, honestly, with Historic, it feels like it's kind of close to Modern, where if you know your deck well, you should go with that.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, Historic is definitely starting to take on that Modern feel where there's a ton of decks, and it definitely rewards you for playing the deck that you play very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm tipping there is going to be a lot of Grafdigger's cages still getting around in best of 3 because, you've got the Uro decks and the Goblins decks and the Sacrifice decks that are all bringing stuff out of the graveyard. So, yeah, there probably quite a few of those. I do like your take there for best of 1 with the mono red. I think that's probably not a bad idea. I would actually, my recommendation, as everybody out there would know, I play not real Magic, as Chewy would refer to it, best of 1. I would actually play Jund Sacrifice. So Ivan Flock played in the tournament Jund Sacrifice, and it's pretty much the old standard Jund Sacrifice, like 4 main deck Corvolds.
4 Corvolds?
Yeah, 4 Corvolds. And it's just adding in, he's got a one-off Chandra. Don't know how necessary that is, but a Maelstrom Pulse, some Thought Seizers, and some Fatal Pushes, and a slight upgrade to your mana base with the different lands that you're able to get access to now. And yeah, just the old usual cats, geese, Mayhem Devils, Witches' Ovens, Trail of Crumbs, that sort of stuff, and get people dead that way. So that's a deck that I enjoyed playing a lot, and is very powerful, and it did pretty well on the weekend. But if you're planning on playing best of 1, you're not going to see as many people with Grafdiggers in the main. So it's probably not a bad best of 1 deck to be running. So, and it's one of those decks that can grind against pretty much everything, and you do have some answers. I mean, this version is only playing 1 Maelstrom Pulse, and then obviously some Thought Seizers as well. So you've got some main deck answers to a potential Grafdigger's Cage. But I think it's probably a pretty good option for best of 1. So that would be my recommendation.
Nice.
But we'll see how we go. If we can find the time, hopefully we can on the weekend and get in on that, and then we can report on it in the next couple of weeks. So I think that's going to do us for tonight, Cracker. Sounds like that's about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So, make sure you come and join us in our Discord, because, we will be announcing, probably maybe on the first cast we do in the new year, we'll be announcing our tournament series, as we are now calling it, or as I'm calling it now.
So official.
The Magic Beans tournament series. So we'll be announcing that in January. So make sure you're in our Discord so you're getting all the information about that. Obviously, we'll talk about it on the podcast as well, but the Discord's the best place to get all the info, and then you'll need to be in there to play in our events. But plenty of chat going on in there, plenty of places to get good advice on your decks, and just have a bit of fun chatting with all the other people in there. So come and join us. If you want to show us some support directly and get around in some sweet Magic Beans gear, we do have our merch store, so the link for that is in the show notes. And I meant to tell you earlier, Cracker, and I completely forgot, I have put a fairly decent discount on all of our merch that I updated a couple of days ago as a bit of a Christmas special. So,
ooh, nice.
It's there's some pretty good prices. If you've never looked at our merch store before, go and have a look. There's some pretty good deals you can get there. All the t-shirts and hoodies, and you can get singlets and mouse pads and mugs, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's all going at a good discounted price at the moment, which will probably run up till the new year and then put it back to the normal prices. So now's the time. Give yourself a Christmas present. And you're definitely not going to get it by Christmas because it comes all the way from America. But
you'll get it before next Christmas.
Well, hopefully.
And look, if you're listening in America, then maybe you will get it before Christmas.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, go and check that out because we as we said, when we finally get this next Grand Prix or whatever major event and we get to meet some of you lovely people, it would be awesome to be seeing heaps of people decked out in the Magic Beans gear. So check that out. We would love it if you go and show Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar some support and join the auction group and then start bidding on all their daily auctions, because they allow us to do all the awesome things and run the awesome events that we do. So we want to give back to them as much as we possibly can. And
don't forget to tag in that post to get in the running to win a box of Commander Legends.
Yep. Join the group if you're not already in there, and invite a friend and comment on the giveaway post to be in the running for one of 6 boxes of Commander Legends, which is insane. Good one, Pat.
He's nuts, man.
Yes, he is. All right, you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter, all of those places. Just search for Magic Beans Cast, and you'll find us on there, or all the links for that are all in the show notes, as always. If you want to find me on Twitter, I am at Peace Inc. Cracker, you are?
At JoelHill_.
Very good. So that'll do us for this episode. Thank you, as always, for listening out there. Stay safe, and we will see you next time.